Hello and welcome to another episode of The Funny Kind with your host, Erica Gumieny. Get ready for some laughs and inspiration as Erica takes us on a journey to find the kindness and light in everyday places. And now, without further ado, here's your host, Erica Gumieny.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me again today. I'm so grateful to have our guest with us today, my friend Lisa Condon. Lisa is really an inspiration to me and to so many people. She is an award-winning international speaker, an executive coach, and the creator of the Gratitude framework, which I know we'll get into a bit today, but I'll be sure to share Lisa's info on this podcast detail. So Lisa brings together heart and clarity to help people and businesses grow with purpose. She is a best-selling author of Stepping into Gratitude, and she believes that even in certain times, we can root ourselves in what matters most. And so in this episode, we're going to talk about how gratitude can help us stay steady when life feels anything but. So, hi, Lisa.
Hi, Erica. I'm so glad to be here with you, friend.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like we've known each other forever, but we just met a few months ago.
Oh, my word. Yeah, and which is still, I don't even know how that's possible. And I'd said this to you, and I still think it's funny. I saw you across a crowded room, and the skies just opened up, and there you were. And yeah, we were yeah, the friendship was formed many years ago. We just didn't know it.
Truth. Oh, that's so true. That's so true. So as I've been kind of relaunching the funny kind and trying to find the funny and kind again, I feel like there is just so much heaviness happening in the world right now. And I love the conversation that we had this week that prepared us for this chat today. Um, Lisa and I are not experts on anything, really. And we're just like all of you trying to figure out how to make it in this world that we're living in right now. And I was gonna, back in COVID, I used to write these like motivational prayers of just like, just to try to sustain me throughout COVID. And it seemed to resonate with other people. And I've been trying so hard the last couple weeks to write something like that on Facebook. And I just can't, every time I try, I backspace because it just feels so empty or pointless or whatever to just write a post or do a blog or say something that just doesn't feel worthy of the like magnitude of what we're walking in right now. And Lisa and I were sharing that those of us who are really sensitive soul, empathic people, you can feel this weight on your soul. And I feel like I want to cry. It's just something is happening in the world and it feels so dark and it feels so bad. And yet, like the blog post I was going to do was going to be called the handbasket. Like, world's going to hell in a handbasket. It's like wherever that saying came from. I don't know what a handbasket is exactly. Is it a basket that you hold in your hand? Is it a basket with hand? I don't know what it is. But one thing that Lisa does that I really love is on Facebook or social media, she has 3 things she's grateful for that she posts every day, which is, I bet some days even hard to do that.
No, yes, it is.
So enough of me talking. How do you feel about all that?
Um, well, there's kind of a litany of things to say around all of that. By the way, Hell in a Handbasket, I started doing a little research after we talked about it the other day. Of course I
Of
did.
course you did.
And funny enough, there's some differing opinions, if you will, on where it came from. So you should look up the origin story. But it does
Okay.
come up in Dante's Inferno, which I find fascinating. Anyway,
Whoa, interesting.
I know. It was like, okay, wow. Well, then that says a lot. But yeah, the
Oh,
three grateful posts, Erica, to say that some days it's difficult is an understatement by every stretch of the imagination because um I mean the three gratefuls are for me, right? Like I put it out there. It's part of my gratitude practice. It's part of what I do every morning. And I also know a lot of people read them. And I also have a 90 Days to Gratitude group that I also post in every day for prompts and that type of thing to for for 90 days people follow along and do certain things should they choose to. I mean, I'm not
Hmm.
dictating any of that. But what I am finding is more and more I have to be resolute in the three gratefuls that I am truly grateful for me. And I'm finding them almost becoming um, less broad and more hyper focused
Mm.
because of the energy that's out in the world right now. And so so part of that's for me. Yet at the same time, in the 90 Days of Gratitude group, what I'm finding is my prompts are becoming more broad so that
Mm.
people are expanding their thinking and trying to help them look at things from varying ways, maybe things they've never thought of before. So it's been this really interesting navigation, if you will. It because right, it is heavy. You know, the other day, have you ever heard or seen a t-shirt that's like, check on your strong friends, they're not okay. And
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
now it's like check on your empathetic or your empath friends. They're not okay.
Yeah, right. It's
Mhm.
like, is anybody okay right now? Like, I can't think of the gal that I follow on social media, and she always makes these silly little motivational things where she's like out in a field and you don't have to do it all yourself. She's just got this real sweet little sing-songy voice. Anywho, she's like, you're just looking around in the world and you're like, ee, ah, oh. It's like every day there's some new shit storm happening that it's like, oh, what is it today? Is there another fire? Is there a war? Did he say something? Did she say something? Like, and it's like you want to just go to bed, put the covers over your head, watch Bob's Burgers, numb, eat, whatever it takes to escape this onslaught of negativity. It's too much. It's too much. And I just thought of something just before we got on today. RuPaul, who I love on social media, he does the funniest things, or she does the funniest things. And there was a quote of you can see the darkness, but don't stare at it. Something
Mm,
like that. And I thought about it because the other day I spent far too much time watching news, quote unquote news, and I just felt like I wanted to sob. I was just like, this is madness. It's madness.
yeah.
And
You know,
ugh,
it's interesting that you say that. So we do streaming in our house and learned relatively recently that with the TV we have, we can actually, Samsung allows you to have live television, live news. And so we turned it on the other day, and I'm telling you, when I say it's the first time in year, like just sitting and watching it years, it is. And and it's a lot and it's very heavy. But what what I think is more fascinating is I feel like the Band-Aid's been ripped off, right? So we've been so desensitized to trauma and war and murder and all of the different things that are happening because of not just what's happening in our world, but movies we watch and games
mhm.
that people play and just kind of the technological world that we live in, right? So I think there's a lot of desensitization that has happened, if that's even a word.
I like
Um,
it. Sounded good.
we're gonna take it.
Desensitization. Ahoo.
Desensitization. Yeah. But along with that, I think now because I mentioned this the other day, like the proverbial tectonic plates are shifting, that
Yeah.
now people are like, oh wait, this is real life. Like this is actually
Uh-huh.
happening in my backyard and to
Yeah.
my friends. And I think over the years when certain things have happened, like Rodney King and some of those other major events that started shifting our core and rocking our core as a society, it still was off in the distance for so many, right? And because
Mm,
it wasn't necessarily touching us personally. And I think now what's happening is more and more all of that. I don't even know if I'm saying this right, Erica, but I love your perspective on it. I feel like those major things that happened started breaking the shell of everything open to be like, once you
yeah.
see, you can't unsee. And once you
Yeah.
feel, you can't
Yeah.
unfeel.
Yeah.
And, and now, ooh, yeah, goosebumps. And now here we are.
Hmm.
And now people don't know what to do with
Yeah.
all of that. And
And
yeah,
Lisa, I think so much about um the words like glory days. Oh, I wish things were back where it's like those were not glory days for so many people. Your
right.
experience may have been that way, but the what we're seeing now is what many people have been living their whole lives for generations. And
Agreed.
you
Yeah.
know, from whether it's just the topics of diversity and inclusion, equity, and all of that stuff, it has opened, my eyes just a little. Like I have not even anywhere an understanding of my fellow humans' experiences, but I think about when I was for just a minute, thinking about what's happening in now in Iran and Israel and all this stuff, and I'm thinking of a little family with kids, innocent, wonderful people who we would love and hang out with and laugh with, and they're sitting there hiding from bombs, and what the heck is going on? And I'm just like so scared for our world, and I know this isn't the first time that it's happened, but I'm grown now and I miss my 20s. Gosh, do I miss my 20s when I didn't even know who the president was and all I cared about was like what rock band was playing this weekend and what bars am I going to and where are we going to have fun? And my world was so small and I was so naive and clueless of ignorant, ignorance is bliss. And now I'm just like, what do I do? And I love that our conversation is steady as she goes and no one's walking away from this conversation with, here's three things you can do
Right.
to survive the shitstorm that is 2025. But it's like, you're not alone if you are feeling this weight upon you, regardless of your political views, regardless of where you are, where you live, what you look like, who you love. We are unified in this WTF.
I
And
agree.
most of us have no idea what to do. And today is the day that No King Day protests and the military parade, and there's these two big things, all these big things happening. And I I am not I'm a lover, not a fighter. I don't feel comfortable in those spaces. I have so many amazing friends who are so smart and passionate about these things and are willing to talk about it and argue about it and fight for what's right and listen and understand and oh my gosh. So I think about you, Lisa, when I met you and we fell in love
Ah,
and your and I don't want to say speech, but your presentation that you did at the When Stories event was so beautiful and how you shared your story in such a like you have such a peaceful way about you and such a sensitive kindness that just emits from you. And I think I check on you and I say, how are you? And also I look to you and I'm like, Lisa, what do I help me? How do I have your peace in all of this? And I guess I'm coming to a question here slowly. I think like, the broken people are the best healers,
Mm,
because we are all figuring this out together, and suffering brings us awareness that we can help each other through. Um, how why gratitude? The gratitude framework that you have created, your book, Stepping into Gratitude, like what about your life brought you to a point where you were like, I gotta do something.
mhm.
This is effed up. I've got to get past whatever's going on, and gratitude was your way out.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've never been asked it in that way, Erica. You
Do I
know,
get should I have I feel like opening up a piece of chocolate right now.
girl, I've got coffee going on, so you do you, right? Um, I don't think it was any one thing, but I think the so much occurred in my life starting as a real little kid where um number one, some trauma for sure, right? And I didn't I didn't want to step like I actually the word broken it actually impacts me because I'm like I don't think any of us are
So
broken.
true. So true. You're right.
What I do think is I didn't want all of the things that occurred in my life to have no meaning. And because otherwise, if you don't
Mm,
take what you have learned from all the things, good, horrible, and everything in between, then they're just things that happened. So if you don't take those experiences and use them for good, whatever that looks like, then I don't know, at least for me, then I wasn't doing my part.
mm,
So I think that mindset for me and that switch of a mindset really happened when I was in my 20s, toward my late 20s. It had a lot to do, oddly enough, it started in the professional world and um, learning about core value systems and aligning that, which is now some of the work that I do. But that was so life-changing to me that the cracks started happening. And it
mm.
was like, oh, and it goes back to the once you see, you can't unsee. And that just kind of started this path toward, okay, if I'm feeling this way, what does that mean? And I process things internally and and yet I act very quickly. It's kind of interesting how I do things, but because I believe so wholeheartedly that the right things are going to happen, and the more that I let go of control, the more just things happen the exact way they're supposed to. So with the gratitude, it started off really basic in terms of me practice like writing three things I'm grateful for, and that's a whole other story of how that started. But once I started doing that, I felt different. And even pulling out, from like, for example, I've been surrounded by a lot of death in my life, starting at a very, very young age. A very good friend of mine in third grade, she and her two younger sisters and her mom all passed away in a fire. And
Oh my
so,
gosh.
and that was in third grade. And then unfortunately, like a year later, his father or her father took his own life because he just couldn't
Mm,
handle the grief, right? And,
mm.
that's impactful, but so much death. But at the same time, I'm somebody that people can speak to about that because I've navigated it so much. I've
Yeah.
had so many conversations and can look at it in a way that may be different, that may be supportive. So I feel like, and with the 9 steps of gratitude, part of it is just the cycles of life that we go through at any given moment because sometimes those 9 steps go very, very quickly, and sometimes you are deep in the throes of the process of it. Um, but we all go through it. And it
Yeah.
just helps to bring some structure to the chaos of feelings, I think, that we often
Mm.
have. And I needed that
Are
from
these 9 steps your 9 steps?
from
And
my
that's
nine
the
steps.
framework. Okay. And
Yep.
can we learn about that on your website? Plug. Okay.
Yes, you can. Yes.
Okay. Okay. You don't even have to pay me for that.
I was
You
like,
know,
I wasn't expecting to plug my
I know
taxes.
it just happened naturally, honest to gosh. So like, yeah, I appreciate what you said about the broken thing because I get triggered by that too because I'm like, I'm a I almost said practicing Christian. I don't know why, but
That's
I love
interesting.
Jesus. I'm a Christian. I am working out my faith every day in the best way I can, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for God. I very much believe that God has um, saved me from myself in many ways, but um, and I feel like right now we are so focused on the darkness.
Hmm.
We are so zoomed in on it. It's all we talk about, it's all we think about, it's all we sleep about. We're staring at our phones. We're absolutely hooked. And I that's right where the devil wants us. I used to have this idea for like a church drama. You know what I'm talking about? Where like the youth group gets together and does a drama, where it would be like the devil's annual conference. And
Oh
it'd be
my
like in,
goodness.
the hottest place ever, right? Las Vegas, probably. And he would have breakout sessions about how to destroy humanity and how to get people messed up. And it'd be like, let's keep them busy. Let's give them the internet. Let's get them addicted to violence. Let's get them desensitized to what you were saying. And I feel like there's all these things that have happened to us that we've just gone along with. Just okay, this is what we do now, that we watch these shows that are horrific.
Hmm.
Horrific. I mean, I remember, no offense to my darling husband who I love, he loves zombie stuff, you know.
So does
And
mine.
oh,
That's really interesting, and I won't
twinning.
watch it. I will
Me
not watch it
neither.
at all. Oh, that's hilarious.
I know that is funny. Oh my gosh. I'll have to tell him. We'll have to double date someday.
I was gonna say, I see double date in our future.
Yeah. But there was one episode that I kind of got hooked on, and it was where this guy got like beat in the head really, really bad. And I was just like, what? I like got emotional. I'm like, this is awful. Why would you want to have that be in your soul? And it's like, and I feel like that's what's happening. So my I don't know why I brought that up again, but my point is, I guess, that the awareness of your focus and there's such a thin line between informed and over overstimulated, staring into the darkness, like RuPaul says. There is, um, you can get so angry, so upset, so biased. So it's
Yeah.
so hard to balance all of it. And I feel like I want to end our I want to end every day kind of in a hopeful way. And I think about like we are in the winter of our humanity. We are in another season of how did we get here again? What's happening? And I must hope that there is something bubbling beneath and around because there are many Lisa and Ericas and more others who are doing amazing things, that there is a light coming into the darkness and we're like no more, because I think the beauty of what's happening is what we were saying before about, we used to think it was the glory days. We used to think everything was great because we didn't know.
Right.
We
Right.
didn't know that how other people were living. We didn't know what was happening. And now we do.
Yeah.
And now and we sort of do, I should say. We know more than we used to. But I feel like it's enabling people to act and do something.
But you know what, Erica? So yes, to everything that you're saying, and I think the start of it is conversation,
Yeah.
right? Because none of us from none of us are the same. Our experiences aren't the same, whether it be now or historically, or even what we're going to navigate in the future. So having the courage, even with some of your closest friends, have you sat down and said, you know what, let's just talk. Let's talk about the big things, and get deep. Even if it's a 15-minute conversation, it opens the door for more.
Yeah.
And I agree with
Yeah.
you wholeheartedly in that I almost I almost see like the bubble from the Wizard of Oz, right? When Glinda comes in, like it's coming. We're not there yet. And and I don't know if it'll even be this year, but it's coming. And I also agree there's so many people like you and I who want to have the conversation, but you don't necessarily know how to start it. But just that in itself is something to try and start the conversation with people that you know are safe, because you're
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
fumble, right? Like you're going to say the wrong thing. Like it just will happen.
Right.
And that's okay because our humanness is showing when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many great organizations in this world that are doing amazing things
Mm-hmm.
that I always like, if you're looking at what's happening right now and you are very upset about how people are being treated in a certain way, find an organization that is helping and go volunteer.
Yeah.
Find the topic that's pissing you off the most and go make a difference and help. And that's really hard for us to do because then we're in it. Right now we can watch it from our TVs, watch it from our phones, and then turn it off and go back to our regularly scheduled lives. Well, not everybody has that privilege. And I think we're looking at I remember Maya Angelou said something about like, you look at somebody, I'm not going to quote her properly, but you look at somebody's darkness and you think, that's them. No, that's within you. There's the evil that we see is within us. We're mirrors of each other. And it's like, it's really hurting us because we're like, how are we capable of this? How? But then we're also capable of this amazing goodness. There are so many. I heard the district attorney of California saying, I think it was that who said it, where 99.9% of people are great. They're not doing anything bad. They're wonderful. That's true statistically, that most of us are doing the best that we can. Most of us are good. Most of us are not nasty people. But yet there is war, there is violence, there is greed, there is unfairness. That's all true. But the hope is that we will make it so that that doesn't win, you know? But it's
Yeah.
like I have these really great conversations and I feel great because I talk to people like you who I feel make me feel heard and loved and safe. And then I still feel like heavy and sad and like what do I do? And for me, just for me, it's I don't have that way forward yet. And I appreciate that I can write or speak or share things and it makes people feel good, but I feel like that's not quite enough. You
And
know what I mean?
yeah, I do. And you know what, though? I think each day brings something different because, if you are just think about the ripple effect, right? Like the pebble in the pond and the ripples that happen because you don't know who's listening to you. You don't know who's reading whatever post or blog you put out there. You don't know who's overhearing a conversation you're having if you're sitting at a cafe, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't know, nor should you know. But if you continue to find the light and the joy and the gratitude within your everyday life and um, keep offering up safe space and conversation and laughter and hope because that's what you're doing. That's where your difference is happening. Now, I'm not saying to not feel what you're feeling and don't do other things, but those things will come. And to try to sustain doing more, it's exhausting. So the days where you
Yeah.
find the opportunity to do more or step in and do something, take and seize those opportunities. They'll present
Hmm.
themselves all of the time, but you also have to make sure that you are fully loving and hugging and embracing yourself so that you can bring all of that forward because it is very, very draining emotionally and spiritually, and when you're an empath, even more so. Um,
Hmm.
so that's
Yeah.
my download.
I love that. That's some juicy stuff right there. Oh,
Hmm.
so I mean, we could talk, this could be a 6-hour podcast.
Oh my gosh,
We
yes.
would have to take lunch breaks and snack time and everything. But what right now with that's going on for you, how do you how do you wake up every day and feel gratitude? Like give me some examples. Give us some real like I know what you wrote today. I know the three that you wrote, but give me an example of right now while we're kind of sitting in this mucky, icky poo poo.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't remember. Oh, okay. So, for example, literally, just as you asked me that, a beautiful bright red cardinal just is now sitting outside my window.
Oh,
My mother shows up to me as a cardinal. So,
um,
like, that's an
mm,
example. I
I
mean,
love it.
whew, that's an example. Like, I don't even remember what I wrote this morning because, again, what I do is I tap into my heart space
Hmm.
and listen and just get very, very quiet and I listen to me. And by paying attention with all of my senses, and sometimes it's even about closing your eyes and starting with what do you hear? What are you tasting? What are you feeling? And just getting very quiet. That that's where I have to start every day. Getting
Oh,
very,
that's
very
awesome.
quiet and tapping into the energy of the world. Um,
Mhm.
because sometimes the world's not crying. Sometimes there's this energy of hope and love. And sometimes it's truly like the physical earth is like, oh my gosh, you're setting me on fire and you're cutting my trees
Mhm.
down and you're taking, like I just get
Mhm.
quiet. So
Mhm.
so like that cardinal and paying attention to that. I'm also just thinking about the brevity of today, in terms of, like you talked about earlier, all of the different protests and gatherings that are happening around our country today. And, there's so many different ways to look at that. And no matter how I might feel, um, there's also you there's so many things you can say about it, but the reality is there are people who want to come together, who feel safe by coming together to express their hearts.
Mhm.
And that I am so grateful that we are in a country and a society that allows that.
Yeah. And for people who may be I want to say the other side, but I just hate even saying that.
Oh, no, it's
You
bigger
know what
than
I
borders,
mean?
not
It's
sides. Yeah, yeah,
no,
no.
yeah, but just even that's how we think these days. But
Hmm. Hmm.
there are people who feel all kinds of things politically, and this is way beyond that. This is about humanity. Like, let us find our place again of, at least for me, this is what matters to me is love and kindness and finding a way to still have rules and regulations and appropriate things and all that stuff. But this nastiness that has seemed to have infiltrated us a little bit, and I don't know where it's all come from, but I know it comes from, we joked about this, and this is my like standard joke about the devil wearing a red lycra polyester onesie with a pitchfork, and black eyeliner. But that's all part of it is divided, divided they will fall.
Yeah.
And I love my most conservative friends. I love my most liberal friends. I love my atheists. I love all people who are good and wonderful people. It doesn't matter to me. I don't look at things like that. I just look at, are you cool? Are you nice? Are you wonderful? Are you whatever? But I'm like, right now we all need to come together like, oh my gosh. But without that, back to your point, we had a nice close and then I rewound again. But I think to close our conversation, your points about when if I can summarize what you said in a way, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're staring at the darkness and you're like, when you stare off in the distance sometimes and you're like, I can't stop staring. When you're staring into the darkness and you can't seem to unhook, close your eyes, get really quiet, and then look for the goodness. Look for something good. Look for something, a red cardinal, a breeze, something, and look to your, at least I'm feeling, look to your immediate sphere of the smallest sphere of influence that you can get to, and think, how can I be as kind to my husband as possible? And he probably paid me to say that. How can I be, how can I be grateful for this house that I'm living in? How can I be grateful for technology? How can I be grateful for my friend Lisa that God brought to me? How can I be grateful that I'm alive?
Yeah, and it's also, remember, gratitude is actually a verb. So it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to act on it. And
wait, is gratitude a verb, or are you just saying that?
I'm saying it.
Okay,
So,
because I was
yeah.
like, hold on a second, that's crazy.
You're like, I've always thought it was a noun. It is a noun, but it actually
I get
is
it.
a
I get
verb.
what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even as you were summarizing, what if you close, like if you're staring into the darkness and you can't look away and you close your eyes, the light will find you. The light will come. And it will come differently every single time in different ways. And even when you're looking at your sphere, and if it's not small enough to find it, make it smaller. Make it smaller, make it smaller until you find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I like the title that we had. We didn't really talk too much about it, but we were saying steady as she goes.
Mm.
Because if all of us remain steady and remain focused on that practice of gratitude, on the thing that we feel led to do, to make the world a better place, and maybe that's too big. To make the world a better place can feel like a lot. Like my little life, what am I doing? But how can I remain steady as I keep going? Because I have to keep going.
Mhm.
And there are some days that I just literally want to binge TV and food and just turn it all off. And then you can do that. Hopefully you can do that, because not everybody has that privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So anyways, steady as she goes, my friend.
Steady as she goes.
Yeah. Thank you for being with me today. I feel like I wish we were together so we could hug and cuddle and have some hot tea and snacks.
Yeah, yes, to all of that. I wish that too. I wish all the time that we lived closer.
I know. And I think of all the people who are listening to us right now, that if you are feeling this heaviness and you're staring at the darkness, just know that you're not alone, and that there are people who love you, and that there are people who you can talk to, and God loves you, and so do we, and somehow or another we're all going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So with that, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Erica, for having this space for our conversation.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Funny Kind with your host, Erica Gumieny. Be sure to subscribe now so you don't miss any of the laughs or inspiration. And Erica wants to hear from you. Be sure to reach out if you know of someone Erica should connect with as she continues to take us on a journey to find kindness and light in everyday places.